Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, The Top Digital Marketing Tools You Need to Know About. My name is Simon Isaac. I'm the founder of Capsule, and I'm joined here today by Che Kelly, one of our digital marketing specialists.
Hello, everyone.
And Laura Shoebridge, who looks after business development for us and who will be managing the event today. So I'm Simon. I've worked in marketing and business management for over 35 years, both client side in a freelance capacity and also in agency, which is where I've probably spent most of my working life. So over the years, I've worked with startups, scale-ups, and international blue chips, and I really enjoy every project I'm involved in. Today, we want to share some of Capsule's experience with you about the marketing tools we use every day in the agency. This could be a game changer for you and your business. I'm joined here by Che, as I said, and Laura. And without further ado, let's have a look at what we'll cover today. So we'll cover a range of core topics, and this really looks at all the tools that we use. But with so much noise these days around AI, automation, and machine learning, now might be a good time to think about your tech stack in marketing and how you can tighten up your own marketing automation. So what we look at why you should invest in tools. We'll also look at the top tools that we use in Capsule and also talk about why we use them. We'll talk about choosing the right tool for your budget and how to integrate new tools into your tech stack within your organization. And at the end, we've got a Q&A. So we'll actually ask you to put your questions into the chat now, and then Laura will pitch those to Che and myself at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, let's hand over to Che to talk about why you should invest in tools.
So investing in marketing tools can be challenging. There's obviously costs associated with that. And when you have a new tool, chances are you need to do some training and learning to get the most out of it. But they are probably some of the best investments you can make for your marketing. So the top benefits we find from investing in tools in Capsule are the additional insights we can uncover from our competitors. So from our competitors' best performing keywords to how our own audience is interacting with campaign landing pages. This allows us to quickly drive results for our clients and consistently improve the user experience and conversion rates for our own campaigns. It also helps to reduce the manual work required. So a lot of the tools we use at Capsule typically tend to replace a manual system that we've already been following. This then frees up time, which means we can spend more time working more strategically, increasing productivity across the whole team, and also spend more time on creating outputs for clients. For example, creating content briefs without having to manually research the SERPs or uncover the intent of our keywords. So in the past, we might have had to look at the search results pages and see, okay, what's Google rewarding? These tools kind of speed that up for us. And they also tell us the intent of our keywords. So for example, is someone searching for information or they're looking to buy a product? And then we can tailor our content to make sure that both Google and the people searching get the best information they need. And then both of those above points then lead to kind of better outcomes for our clients. As sort of our time is freed up as an agency, we also become more kind of price competitive without sacrificing the quality of our work, and we can take on more clients and grow our own business.
So here's an introduction to just some of the tools we deploy at Capsule. This is an overview of some of our favorites, but we also have many more that come into the mix, particularly when it comes to integrating workflow. So first, let's have a look at SEMrush. So this is a platform that's been in our stack for many years, and it's grown and evolved a lot since we first saw it launch. It's one of our go-to tools for SEO keyword research at Capsule, an area clients often find complex and often get wrong because they think they know what people are searching for, but quite often this may differ greatly from reality. SEMrush also allows us to track competitor activity, such as keyword targeting strategies, and also insights into market trends and changes. This is really useful when, for example, you might be planning a product launch, you may be making a change of strategic direction for your business, or for example, you can formulate opportunities for growth and diversification as well. And if, like me, you're always trying to find time to post to social media, And let's face it, many of us are always trying to find time to do that because there's huge benefits in it. The great thing about SEMrush is you can post content through a scheduler. And for me, that's saves so much time in thinking, my word, I haven't posted anything for 2 days. Schedule it in SEMrush, and then it's all taken care of for you.
So another tool we use is Keyword Insights, and alongside SEMrush is one of our key SEO tools. So Keyword Insights allows us to cluster all the keywords uncovered during our keyword research phase. So for example, we go into SEMrush, we have thousands of keywords that we could potentially go after and could be relevant to our clients. This tool then takes all of those keywords and puts them into clusters based on their relevancy to each other and the keywords in the search results. It also helps us to uncover hidden opportunities that would have taken far longer had we not used the tool. So for example, we could then spend hours going through these lists of thousands of keywords to pick out, okay, here's a good informational blog piece that we could be writing about. This tool speeds that up massively. The tool also allows us to build out content briefs, and then we can be confident that those content briefs cover the topic in depth, and we know that they're going to perform well in organic search, driving traffic, and therefore leads for our clients. While these content briefs can be done by doing kind of manual desk research ourselves, we say on average 30 to 40 minutes per brief using this tool. And across all of our clients, that quickly adds up. If you're working in-house and you're doing 2 to 3 pieces of content a month, this tool can still be great in helping speed up and making sure that you're covering that topic in depth. Now, our next time-saving tool is Data Slayer. So Data Slayer is a great tool when it comes to reporting, as you can pull in data from all kinds of sources. So for example, social media platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and even newer platforms like TikTok. It also pulls in data from PPC platforms such as Google Ads, Microsoft Ads, and also email tools such as MailChimp, Klaviyo, and HubSpot. It's also very good because it pulls in other data sources that your business might use and that you might not commonly think of. So for example, you're running an e-commerce store, you can pull in Shopify data and WooCommerce data, so you can start looking at sales versus traffic. And if you sell products online or courses or things like that, maybe not through sort of a typical e-commerce platform, you can pull in data from Stripe so you can see how your purchases are trending over time and maybe average order values. Using Data Slayer, you can view all of your reporting data in one place, such as Looker Studio, which we'll look at shortly, or Google Sheets, BigQuery, and Power BI. This makes it easy to see all of your data in one place and make easy comparisons without having to switch between all of the different platforms. This is a massive time saver, and it's just, great. And especially when we're looking at kind of clients that might be running campaigns on social, pay-per-click, organic traffic, and email marketing campaigns, it integrates everything nicely into one place. Data Slayer can also be run on a schedule, so you can have all your reports updated on a daily or weekly basis, or if you're jumping into an ad hoc meeting, you can also do a manual refresh and it will pull all the most recent data for you up to the last couple of minutes. There's also a lot of tools out there that do a similar job, for example, Supermetrics. However, we find that Data Slayer is the best tool for us, both in terms of the features it offers, so all the integrations where we can pull data from, as well as the pricing, because it's a nice, simple, easy pricing model. You get access to all the integrations, and it's just based on, you pay on how often you refresh that data. Now we'll move on to Looker Studio, which then takes kind of all the data that Data Slayer pulls together and makes it easy to visualize. So Looker Studio is a free tool, which is great. It used to be called Google Data Studio, so some of you might already be familiar with this. But it's a great way to take all of your kind of reporting data and make a nice, easy, nice looking report that's easy to visualize, and it's very interactive as well. So you can start hovering over things and it kind of gives you that little bit more detail. So you're not digging through a static PDF. So Looker Studio has several native integrations, mainly around the Google suite of products, understandably, including Google Ads, Google Analytics, Google Sheets, BigQuery, and Search Console. However, using a tool like Data Slayer and other third-party connectors like Supermetrics, and I know SEMrush has one, you can put in data from pretty much any data source you can think of and then visualize that using their kind of reporting and charts and graphs. And this report is always kept up to date. So when it's pulling from things like Google Ads and Google Analytics, it basically shows you the exact same data that you would see within those platforms up to the minute. And using things like Data Slayer or Supermetrics, it's going to be as fresh as however fresh your last data pull is from those platforms. So we use this tool a lot, both in-house for reporting on, for example, our own email marketing campaigns or our own paid social campaigns. But we also use it a lot with clients. So all of our kind of retained digital marketing clients, every month they'll get a report, which is produced through Looker Studio. So they can stay up to date on kind of how their organic search traffic is performing. So is it up month on month, year on year? How are conversions trending over the year? All those kind of things. And they can also see kind of which Google ad campaigns are driving the most conversions, which social creative is getting the best engagement. And then this also forms kind of a great tool when we sit down and have our reporting meeting with clients, because we can run through the report, they can understand exactly what we're reporting on, and they can see the data firsthand, so they can be confident that kind of we're driving the best results for them.
So the next tool that we want to talk about is MailChimp. Now, we use multiple email platforms here at Capsule for our own marketing, but also for our clients as well. The choice of email platform is usually based on legacy systems. So a lot of clients have used MailChimp, but things like HubSpot are coming to the fore now. So it generally tends to be, what are you used to and what do you want to use going forward? But there are some other things as well you need to think about. So we'll talk about things like integration in a moment. Depending on the size of your organization, MailChimp could be a good system for you, especially if you are new to email marketing. So let's have a look at some of the key things about it. So first of all, MailChimp, in terms of email marketing campaigns, now it's got some really strong capabilities. It allows you to design, send, and track email campaigns, and pretty effectively as well. And this is another one of those tools that has evolved and become much more sophisticated over time. It also offers customizable templates and a drag and drop editor as well. I find that particularly useful when I'm composing emails and putting them together. I feel I can move things around, I can test them, I can look at them as well in the platform whilst I'm constructing them. It's really clever. Then in terms of audience segmentation and targeting, you get some pretty advanced segmentation features that allow you to target specific groups within your audience base. And that could be based on behavior, people's preferences, and also previous interactions they've made with your email campaigns. And then finally, it's the automation that MailChimp offers that I really like. It enables businesses to set up trigger-based emails, such as welcome messages, maybe birthday greetings for customers, and also follow-up emails as well. And we know these sort of things help improve engagement and also customer retention. It's a system I personally find very easy to use, and there are plenty of useful tutorials on the platform too. If you opt for the paid version, the chat function is really good, with fast access to a human, which will give you the help you need when you need it. So let's now have a look at some of the factors to consider when choosing your digital marketing stack. There's 4 key considerations that I think you need to address when you're choosing a digital marketing stack. Now, I know that this usually starts with budget. But first, I think what you need to do is identify your core needs as an organization. So what essential features do you need to achieve your marketing goals? Are you looking to raise brand awareness? Are you looking to create more lead generation? Or are you looking for out-and-out product sales? That's the core thing you need to think about when you start this process. And as Che mentioned earlier, some of the tools that we're looking at integrate really well with paid platforms like Stripe as well. Secondly, look at pricing and the value you're going to get for something. Obviously, a lot of people will look for the cheapest price, but sometimes that's not always the best route. You can easily escalate spend on platforms if you haven't got the right platform at the start. Then it can get more expensive very quickly than you anticipated. So this, for me, is all about making sure you do research. And really, that's why the third point is, make good use of free trials, try things before you commit. That really minimizes risk and also wasted investment as well. And finally, if you have existing systems that need to stay in place within your business in the immediate future, make sure that that platform is going to integrate with it as well. So you might have a CRM that you want to integrate with. Make sure that that is completely possible. Otherwise, you're duplicating work, or you may be doing additional work just to facilitate an email platform. Now, I've heard plenty of horror stories around this where this consideration hasn't been made at the start and people end up paying a hefty price later. So once you've made the decision on platforms, it's time to think about integration into your organization of your new platform and systems. So again, I've got 4 key considerations here. So first on the list for integration is the formation of a plan. So having a strategic integration plan is essential. So, this is about the sort of making sure you've got all your ducks in a row. It's making sure existing workflows and processes are considered. They're important. You have them in place for a reason. And in a lot of businesses, these have been processes and workflows that have been honed over years of experience and practice. So make sure you have a detailed plan for how you see this working with your existing systems and people. And when it comes to people, the next thing is to think about onboarding your team. And you might want to bring some key players in at the very start to get your new systems in place. Again, I've seen this happen in organizations many times where a business owner or a particular department or team make a decision about a process, but they don't take everybody with them. And very often, you can bring allies on board at the very start to get a system in place. Implementing new processes and systems is one of the hardest things in business. So I think that making sure that you get people on board quickly, don't ignore the importance of training and how it fits in with your organization's own wider business goals and strategy as well. But people are at the fore of it. They will make these systems work if you've got them working with you. Thirdly, it's about data migration, and it's the data that we're looking to manage here and to get better at understanding and implementing improvements. So data migration and system testing needs to be completely watertight in my view. This prevents any data breaches, catastrophic failures, or ongoing issues which you might never resolve. And then finally, these systems need to be monitored and optimized from day one. Artificial intelligence for marketing platforms is still in the beta phases, even though it's being talked about every day. Automation and machine learning has been around for a long time, but it's still being evolved. So making sure that you are monitoring and optimizing what's happening is crucial. And that's one of the things we do here at Capsule. And that's why we're different. We don't just switch things on and let them run. Humans need to be involved with this as well. And that means we get the best results from investment in marketing for clients. And monitoring and reviewing performance is the lead to doing that. So that concludes everything we've talked about today. I see that Laura has got a list of questions in the chat. So Shay and I will start the video now so you can see us, and we will take these for you. So Laura, how are we looking at questions?
Super. So we have a couple of direct questions. Which tool would you start out with if you have a limited budget?
What do you think, Shay?
So it's a good question. It kind of depends. So, for example, if you're looking to do email marketing, it's not going to be SEMrush. It'll probably be MailChimp. But yeah, I think for kind of digital marketing, if you're looking at SEO and pay-per-click advertising, I think SEMrush is a great one to get started with. They do have some competitors out there, which can also be worth looking at. Email marketing, I think you can get away with a bit more. Lots of them have kind of like free plans. So if you're just starting out, you've got small email marketing lists, then you can be a bit more flexible in those terms. And yeah, like I said, sometimes there are manual ways to do it. So if you're really limited on budget, it could be as simple as creating a process in a spreadsheet and kind of having that as a starting point. And then as your budgets increase, you can then start to look at kind of.
That's good. I think Shay's point's really good because like SEMrush is like always been a go-to for us actually when it comes to SEO particularly. And then MailChimp, it's so familiar to people. Sort of HubSpot's got a bit more sophistication in the reporting and the analytics, but MailChimp's a good go-to, and they've got a free version. But I would say opt for the paid version. It's not going to cost you a lot of money every month, but it does give you a lot more functionality, reporting and integrations, and access to that all-important help as well. Laura, another question?
Thank you. Which tool would you recommend for beginners launching their first campaign to raise awareness for a charity?
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
maybe this is through paid platforms then.
Yeah, so I think definitely reporting side of things. So if you're running on multiple channels, so if you're looking at, like, let's say Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, and LinkedIn potentially, then that data slayer and kind of setting that up with Looker Studio is a great kind of place to start. You can quickly see how things are performing. As for measuring, maybe on the organic social side of things, a tool like Sprout Social, or some kind of social media management tool, again, that kind of helps you with scheduling all your posts, but also gives you kind of a lot more analytics and insights, and then pulls all those social places together.
That's a good point. I think like Looker Studio, you're looking at paid activity and you're looking at organic activity all in one place, basically. And I think that's the important thing. If you're starting out and it's for a charity, I would say get everything in one place if you can at the very start. And that then means you're not like going to multiple platforms, and you'll get your insights in a much more intuitive way.
Yeah, and I think as a charity as well, you kind of have an added benefit, because quite a lot of these platforms also offer kind of reduced costs for charities and non-profits and things like that. So it could be that you could go for a more expensive, well-rounded tool because they're going to offer you a bit of a discount.
That's a really good point, actually. Thank you.
Thank you. So a question from Duncan: is there a single scheduling platform that still allows posting to all major social platforms without charging any extra fee? He said SEMrush has split out its social tools so it can charge more. Salesforce can no longer post to Twitter, and from his memory, Hootsuite can't schedule for Facebook.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, so off the top of my head, I couldn't give you an answer to that one. That's something we can take away and have a bit of a look into for you. But yeah, it does make life a little bit difficult when these tools start charging for extra accounts and things like that.
Yeah. I've noticed them changing a lot as well. They chop and change, like SEMrush, that was never something that they charged for. But ultimately, you've got to look at what you want to achieve from it. Go back to what your goals are. I know Sprout Social, I've used that many times in the past, and generally speaking, is quite an affordable platform. But ultimately, I think these organizations know that they've got products that need to be monetized. And I would say, look at what the investment opportunity is for you. Is it going to be something that's going to A, make life easier for you, and B, give you more analytics and information that you can use to help drive sales and grow?
Yeah, I think another thing as well is a lot of people try and kind of appear on every channel, and sometimes it's worth taking that step back and go, where is my core audience? Especially if budget is an issue, or you don't want to have to manage multiple different tools. If there's one tool that, let's say you're a B2B company that kind of does Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook, but maybe not where it's about being with your audience.
That's a really good recommendation, actually, because I mean, very often clients ask me, which channel should we be using for our social? And Chay's absolutely right. Where are your audience hanging out? And do one and do it really well. As an example, we did a piece of campaign marketing work on an international level for a client recently, for a group of science-based organizations. And the people we were targeting, we found a lot of them were hanging out on Reddit. And we were posting content on there, and that's where we got the most engagement. So sometimes it's like the most unusual platforms you would never even have thought about are the ones where you might get the best engagement. So in summary, focus on one and do it really well, and then choose the platform that's actually going to service your target audience and client base, where they're actually hanging out.
Thank you. So sort of on the subject of audience, we have a question here. Any recommendations on tools for gathering insights on audience interests?
So I think on social platforms, particularly, whenever we run campaigns, we are getting information on. I mean, they've tightened everything up, and particularly on things like Facebook and through all the meta platforms, it's much harder to get audience insight information. Generally speaking, LinkedIn, we can get quite targeted information for audience segments, but that's obviously a more expensive platform.
Yeah, what you can do on LinkedIn is, if you go into LinkedIn Ad Manager, and rather than building a campaign, you can build an audience. And then once you kind of built that audience, LinkedIn does start to highlight kind of the topics they're interested in, the topics they're talking about, the topics they're posting about. But also another kind of free way to kind of do that research is kind of LinkedIn groups, potentially Facebook groups if it's B2C, and Reddit again is a great one to kind of basically find out what your audience is talking about, what they're posting, what they're interested in.
We have a question here from Simon. What's your view of using buyer intent for targeting?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What's your view of using buyer intent for targeting? Are you aware of that tool?
I've never used that tool. I'm not familiar with it, Che.
No, I think buyer intent is definitely going to be a very strong thing, especially if you're selling
Buyer intent.
a lower value product. So if you have a higher value product, it's going to take a lot of time to get things signed off. So for example, if you're a software platform that charges £10,000 a year, that's going to be much harder to get over the line than something, let's say, a pair of trainers. So I think, yeah, it plays a very important role, but I think the sort of cheaper your product is almost, and the easier it is to convert people, it's going to play that bigger role. When it comes to something more expensive, you need to kind of consider the full funnel as well. So they're going to need information as to why your platform's better than competitors potentially, and kind of how to use the platform, how the platform's going to help drive results for them. So you really need to kind of look at that full funnel. Whereas, yeah, if it's something that's kind of a quick conversion, a quick purchase, then yeah, I think buyer intent targeting is a very, very strong one.
That's a really good answer. Thanks, Che. Any more questions, Laura?
Yeah, we'll just do a couple more. If we don't get through all the questions, then we will come back to you over email and answer your questions. Obviously, you've covered a little bit about Looker Studio and Data Slayer, but we've had a couple of people ask if you can explain a bit more about the difference between the two.
So Data Slayer almost, so there's kind of multiple ways you can use Data Slayer. So it can pull all the information into a spreadsheet, which obviously you've gathered all the data, but it's not very visual, especially if you're kind of, for example, looking at Google Ads data and it's literally day by day and it's just showing you clicks, impressions, conversions. You have the data, it's not very interactive. But with Looker Studio, you can then use the Google Sheets integration to pull all that data that's in that Google Sheet that Data Slayer has pulled into the sheet. You can then use Looker Studio to pull the data from that sheet and then use that in a more sort of visual way. So for example, pie charts, time series graphs, all those things. Data Slayer, like I said, it has Google Sheets integration. It also has direct Looker Studio integration. So for example, if you wanted to pull the data directly into Looker Studio rather than into that spreadsheet, you can do that. I personally prefer to pull it into the spreadsheet because then that data is kind of saved, ready for whenever you need it, and you can export that data. And so, for example, if you ever decide to stop using Looker Studio or Looker Studio suddenly disappears, as Google likes to do with some of its products, then yeah, you still have all that data saved and you can just visualize it using a different tool.
Just one more question then. Are there any good sites I can use to compare different marketing tools or find reviews?
Oh, interesting.
So one of the main ones is g2.com. So you might have seen it before. If you looked for different reviews, it's not just marketing tools. It could be things for like CRMs and maybe photo image processing tools, all that kind of stuff. There's loads of reviews there by loads of different people, different viewpoints, different ways they use the tools, all those kind of things. So I think that's a good one. And for example, if you end up using SEMrush for a while, you might end up getting an email from them saying, could you please leave us a review on G2? So these platforms as well are very aware of their kind of reputation on that site. So yeah.
That's your go-to, G2?
Yeah.
When things are changing and...
Yeah, if there's lots of different tools to compare. Another way is always sometimes just to get a free trial. Most of these tools have a free trial. They have sort of some onboarding with their free trial. So just getting stuck in and having a play around with the platform. Sometimes if that's your preferred way of learning to see if it works for you, then that's also another great way.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us today. As we said, we've got quite a few more questions, but what we'll do is we'll respond by email to those. So we were due to finish at 10:30. Here we are, wishing you all a really fantastic weekend.